Okay, what I'm going to walk through in this video are the lesson 3.6 segues and navigation controllers. So I'll just walk you through creating the app that's created throughout this lesson. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a new Xcode project. So I'll go ahead and select that on a single view app. And I want to go ahead and call it traffic segues, and I'll click on next, and I will click on create, and we have our new project. So let me just go ahead and expand this. I will go into my main storyboard to open up the project. So there's our view controller. So what I want to do is I want to add a button to that view controller. So I will go ahead and type in button. Go ahead, select that button item, and I'll drop it in. And then what we want to do is we want to constrain it horizontally and vertically. So I'll click on the align button down below and select horizontally in container and vertically in container. And I'll click on add to constraints. So after I do that, what I want to do next is I want to go ahead and select, find another, and add another view controller. So I'll just select one and drop it in. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to decrease the size of it a little bit. Click on the top of it to move it over just a tad. So what I'm going to do next is I'll go ahead and select my first view, and I'll click on my attributes inspector, and I will change the background of it to a red. And then I'll select my second one, and what I want to do is I want to change the background color to yellow. So basically we have our two view controllers now. What I need to do next is we want to transition from the red view controller to the right view control, or the yellow one, when the user clicks on our button. So I'll just go ahead, click on my button, and control click on it and just drag over from left to right. And what I want to do is I want to show an action segue. So I will go ahead and select that. A segue now has been added. So what we're going to do next then is we're going to build and run our app. So I'll just go ahead and click on the create, build and run button. And we will wait as our application comes up. Okay, so our app is coming up. Our initial screen should show a red. If I go ahead and click on the button, the yellow moves up from bottom to top. So let me just go ahead and get back into Xcode. And what I want to do is I'm going to decrease the size of this, and I am going to add another view controller to my scene. So go ahead, drag another view controller over to the right. Go ahead and place it. We're going to go ahead and change the background color of this to green. After we do that, we're going to go back into our yellow view controller, and what we want to do is we want to go ahead and add a button. So I will go ahead and find my button, and I will drag my button down, and then I want to add constraints to it horizontally and vertically. So I will go ahead and add two constraints to it. And then finally, I want to go ahead and add a show segue between yellow and green so we can transition. So I want to make sure my button is selected. I'll control click and I'll drag over to my green controller, click on show, and let me just change the size. And now we will go ahead and run it. So we have our run, I'll click on my button, we have our yellow, and then finally we have our green. But as you can see, there's nothing on our green views, so there's no way to segue back to either the yellow or the red. So let me go back into my visual, back into Xcode, and I want to go ahead and click on my view controller. So if I go ahead and click on the view controller, what we're going to do is we're going to create an unwind to red segue. So what we need to do is we need to add an IB action, and it'll be a func. And what we want to do is we want to unwind to red. And let me go ahead and delete some of this crap out of here. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be programmatically moving from our green segue, so when they hit their green exit button, it will unwind back to our red. And we do not have to implement, add any code within here, so I'll just go ahead and delete the code. And you want to make sure that your unwind segue is specified as a UI storyboard segue object. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to check to see if our unwind segue works. So I'll click on my main, and for some reason this got messed up. Go ahead and add a button to my green view controller. Add it in there. We'll go ahead and constrain it horizontally and vertically. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change the title to dismiss. And then what I need to do is I need to, let me just expand the size of this a little bit. I need to create a segue then from my dismiss up to my exit button. So I'll go ahead, hit Control, drag up to my exit button, and then I need to select my unwind with unwind segue that we've created in our red view controller. So after I've selected it, I will go ahead and build and run my application again. And we have our run. I'll click on the button. We have our yellow. Click on the button. Click on dismiss. And now we move back to our red. So that is the first part. Basically what we're doing is we're just segueing between view controllers. What we're going to do next is we're going to implement a navigation controller so you can see exactly how that changes the way you segue between applications. So that will be part 2 of this video.